Hey everyone, and today we are diving into the much anticipated system requirements of Avatar Frontiers of Pandora that was announced back in March of 2017. The excitement among the fans for this game has been palpable if you ask me. Now, with the ever increasing demands of new PC games, it's no surprise that the system requirements seem to ask for a very hefty machine. This leads us to the question, is this the trajectory of PC gaming industry? As technology advances, it's only natural for previous hardware to become outdated. Ubisoft just released the system requirements for Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. A first look at this system requirements tells me that this game is gonna be reasonably demanding in its own way. So let me explain that. First of all, starting from the minimum specs, they are telling you that if you wanna play at 1080p low settings, with FSR2 that is, on quality, to achieve 30 FPS, you need a Ryzen 5 3600 processor or i7-8700K, and you can use RX 5700 or Nvidia GTX 1070 or Intel Arc A750 with resizable bar, and that's not very surprising considering Intel has a huge increase in performance when you turn on resizable bar. They're also saying you need 16GB of dual channel memory, that's also pretty standard these days, and 90GB of SSD storage, that's also pretty standard stuff. The main thing is the GPU requirement here, and the use of FSR2 or DLSS here, which they have not mentioned, meaning at low settings to achieve 30 FPS, you need a mid-range GPU RX 5700. Now the 5700 is still considered mid-range these days, although that might be debatable, but still the use of upscalers to achieve 30 FPS is an indicator of a pretty demanding game. And this is not only with minimum system requirements here. Across the board, they've recommended to use FSR2 here. Looking at recommended, still at 1080p, but now with high settings and FSR2 on quality to achieve 60 FPS, you need Ryzen 5 5600X or Intel i5 11600K, and you need to pair it with a 6700 XT or RTX 3060. The rest of the requirements are the same. Taking a look at the tech power-ups relative GPU performance chart here, moving from RX 5700 to RX 6700 XT, there is a 48% performance difference between the two GPUs. While on the Nvidia side, moving from GTX 1070 to RTX 3060 Ti, there is a 75% difference. So does this mean that for Nvidia this game is gonna be more demanding? Question mark. Let's take a look at the enthusiast system requirements here. Resolution is 1440p with quality FSR2 still, and to achieve 60 FPS you still need the same CPUs, which is a good thing, and it tells that the CPU requirements for this game maybe are not that hefty. Looking at the GPUs we have, now 6800 XT 16GB and RTX 3080 10GB. On tech power-ups, relative GPU performance again tells us that from 6700 XT to 6800 XT the difference is again 42%. And on the Nvidia side, from 3060 Ti to 3080, there is a 52% increase in demand for system specs. So that still indicates that on Nvidia side, while changing the settings, you need to increase the GPU horsepower more as compared to AMD. On the ultra system requirements side of things, now comes the 4K resolution with FSR2 on balanced. So that means you are internally at lower than 1440p or 1270p. The CPU required is 5800X 3D and 12700K. So looks like now in these system requirements maybe ray tracing is enabled. We will see. On the GPU side, 7900 XTX, AMD's top of the line is recommended and RTX 4080 is recommended, and both actually trade blows at rasterization performance, but in ray tracing Nvidia gets ahead in performance usually. So initially what I gathered from this is that on Nvidia's side the game might be more intensive as compared to AMD. For running the game at any resolution, Ubisoft has started to do the same thing of building games with upscalers in mind, which in my opinion is not a very good thing. Going from low to high settings hypothetically at the same frame rate, we can fill in the gaps here and see that for high settings at 30 FPS with FSR2 quality, of course, we will need a GPU in between 5700 and 6700 XT, which means a 6650 XT or a RTX 3060 12GB or a 2070. This information is for people who need to know where their GPU stacks up and is not included in the system requirements. You can just simply check out tech power-up's relative GPU performance. They have included some more info here at the top of the system requirements page, which also needs mentioning. They have added ray tracing global illumination, reflections and shadows, which are all ray traced. The same as other Ubisoft titles these days, the in-game benchmark is also present in this game. Ultra-wide support shouldn't need mentioning and should be a norm, so what the heck Ubisoft. They're saying in-depth optimization options, which is also very welcoming. FSR2 and FSR3 support. Now this is something that they didn't mention in the system requirements chart and is mentioned here, so maybe FSR3 is gonna be added in a later patch, or maybe because they forgot to mention it in the chart. We will see when the game actually launches. And last but not the least, Intel XeSS and Nvidia DLSS are also supported. So yeah, feature support is also looking very good, and also the game looks very good in my opinion. Not as good as Alan Wake 2, but still compared to other 2023 games relative to performance, it looks very good. So the answer to the question that are PC games becoming too demanding? Yes, they are, and it is justifiable. That's what I will leave for you guys. Let me know in the comments below what you think about it. If you're new to the channel, I would seriously recommend you guys to subscribe and ring the bell icon so you get notified for every new video. With that done, let's hope for the best for PC gaming, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye.